What's up everyone, and welcome back to the Bold and the Beautiful 24 official channel. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button today. Let's get started. Plans to eliminate Brooke once and for all? Thomas's vengeance for Taylor. The Bold and the Beautiful hint that Thomas Forrester may go psycho and plan to take Brooke Logan out once and for all. Could Brooke be in grave danger now that she's on the verge of stealing Taylor Hayes away from Ridge Forrester? Thomas adores his mother and is quite protective of her, so he won't appreciate it when Brooke successfully blows up Taylor and Ridge's latest reunion. It might be enough to cause Thomas to go backwards. Of course, Brooke has been the target of Thomas's attacks before. We cannot forget Thomas's actions in opposition to Ridge's destiny and the CPS call mess. If Brooke pushes Thomas too far, it could be that he is preparing for his worst plot yet. Despite the fact that Thomas went to therapy and is said to have recovered, there is always the possibility that he will return to more evil behavior. When playing Thomas's dark side, Matthew Atkinson, an accomplished actor, really comes to life. This might be the perfect time to have Thomas lean into that side once again and deliver some explosive drama as a result. Since Thomas will return to BNB by early September, many fans are wondering what BNB has in store for him. Thomas will have a chance to react once Ridge finally chooses Brooke over Taylor, so you can bet he'll be furious. It's possible that Thomas's past problems will come back to haunt him, making him determined to eliminate Brooke from the map. Perhaps Thomas will decide that Brooke will always prevent Taylor and Ridge from being happy as long as she lives. Thomas may be of the opinion that Brooke should have died in the boating accident. It's possible that Thomas will try to take charge of the situation, paving the way for Brooke to suffer a terrible fate. Thomas might even start fantasizing about Ridge leaning on Taylor once he's grieving the loss of Brooke. While this does not imply that Thomas will actually eliminate Brooke, it does mean that he may relapse into psychosis and provide some amusement. According to the Bold and the Beautiful, Thomas's big comeback could bring some surprises, so stay tuned for updates on any scary news. Nick's proposal to Brooke falls flat as Taylor turns up the heat on Ridge. On the Bold and the Beautiful, romantic plans go awry when Taylor forces Ridge into a corner and Nick's big engagement ring reveal fails to impress. According to the spoilers for The Bold and the Beautiful, Nick Marone is sorry for his actions. However, his demeanor did not prevent him from handing Brooke Logan that enormous rock. Los Angeles, California, is where she turned down his engagement proposal. But if Brooke hadn't been carelessly lying on Nick's boat in Italy, would she still be wearing that ring? Most likely is a reasonable response to the preceding question. Reactions would undoubtedly be exaggerated in the alternative storyline, which would see Brooke flaunting the massive rock that Nick wanted her to be wearing. But it wasn't meant to be and may never happen. Could Brooke Logan continue to wed Nick Marone? Brooke loves Ridge Forrester more than any other man on the planet. Nick might rank second. However, the distance that separates the paternal brothers is greater than the distance that a number of characters recently crossed upon their return from Europe. Getting married to Nick would be a big change. Brooke now believes that Ridge's mind has been properly reset because of his dramatic rescue of her. However, it won't be easy for him to completely break free from his engagement to Taylor Hayes. However, he has promised Brooke that he will rectify the situation. Taylor Hayes isn't prepared to lose. Taylor's desperation was obvious. Playing Brooke down by asking Ridge to marry her was unfair. She is aware that Ridge continues to be susceptible to Brooke's presence. Taylor is also aware that Brooke will have a chance to snatch him once more unless she and Ridge wed during the day. It was a serious case of broken heart syndrome when Budig's recast character returned to Los Angeles. Taylor could have died, but didn't. As a result, it will be interesting to see if Ridge's admission or confirmation of the renewed connection reveals that health issue when the Brooke threat comes back for real. Brother-motivated Ridge Forrester, Nick and Ridge are not even close. They detest each other and don't think of being family. Taylor is a member of Ridge's family, as is Brooke. Ridge's enthusiasm was rekindled when Brooke saw Nick back in Los Angeles, as he had strayed and was preparing to remarry Taylor. Nevertheless, Eric Forrester stood out as a distinct voice. He went on to tell his adopted son that Brooke was the only woman Ridge loved and that Nick wasn't the man for her. Ridge needed Nick's return to realize that Brooke is the woman he should be with and that his feelings for Taylor don't match what Logan represents, and probably never will. Kay's character wasn't able to deny what his dad said, and the fans saw what was in Ridge's heart and mind after he rescued Brooke in Italy. Thomas Forrester has consistently been one of the most unpredictable elements of The Bold and the Beautiful, and recent rumors circulating in Los Angeles indicate that he may be on the verge of revealing his darkest nature once more. Brooke Logan appears to be the primary obstacle to his mother, Taylor Hayes' happiness with Ridge Forrester. Should Thomas indeed regress into the obsessive, psychotic mindset he has struggled against for years, the repercussions could be dire. Despite Thomas's diligent efforts in therapy and his success in convincing those around him, including his father, Hope Logan, Steffi Forrester, and even Taylor herself, that he has overcome the impulses that once led him to manipulate, deceive, and nearly ruin lives, the reality is that those impulses have always been lurking just beneath the surface, waiting for the right catalyst. Nothing could trigger Thomas more than witnessing Brooke intervene once again and jeopardize what Taylor has worked tirelessly to restore with Ridge, particularly at a time when Taylor has been emotionally vulnerable, pleading with Ridge to finally commit to her and break free from the cycle involving Brooke. However, as longtime viewers are aware, Brooke acts like quicksand regarding Ridge's affections. Every time he attempts to distance himself from her, he finds himself drawn back in. This pattern appears to be repeating itself, which could push Thomas over the edge. For Thomas, Brooke is not merely a romantic rival. She represents the woman who has humiliated his mother for decades, the one who, in his view, has consistently taken Ridge away and perpetuated Taylor's anguish. Therefore, if Thomas perceives that Ridge is once again choosing Brooke, he may come to believe that the only way to liberate Taylor from a lifetime of sorrow is to eliminate Brooke from the situation entirely. Permanently, once and for all, when Thomas enters that tunnel-visioned mindset, it is unpredictable what schemes he may initiate, particularly given his past. This is the same individual who once allowed everyone to think that baby Beth was deceased, who previously manipulated Hope using a mannequin that resembled her, and who became so obsessed that he ultimately received a brain tumor diagnosis as the sole justification for his erratic conduct. However, what if this time there is no tumor to attribute his actions to? What if Thomas is merely engulfed by rage and a desire for vengeance against his mother, leading him into perilous territory where he might stalk Brooke, undermine her, or even devise a plan to ensure her disappearance in a tragic accident? This could occur on a Forrester jet, during a fashion show, or perhaps in a reenactment of the boating accident that almost took her life previously. The unsettling aspect is that Thomas possesses the intelligence to conceal his actions, making them appear as unfortunate twists of fate rather than intentional attacks. This would enable him to comfort his father in mourning and attempt to steer Ridge towards Taylor as the reliable and stable companion by his side. Although this scenario may seem extreme, fans are aware that Matthew Atkinson excels when Thomas embraces that perilous, obsessive energy. Therefore, it would be entirely plausible for the show to explore this narrative once more, as Brooke has deceived, lied, and manipulated her way through nearly every man in the vicinity, yet she has seldom genuinely feared for her life. Introducing an element of genuine danger could revitalize the soap in ways that fans have not witnessed in years. Particularly given that Thomas tends to spiral rapidly when he feels trapped, even if he does not manage to eliminate Brooke, he may begin to fantasize about it, discuss it in therapy, inadvertently reveal it in conversations with Hope or Steffi, or allow Taylor to catch glimpses of his more sinister thoughts. This would leave Taylor appalled at the prospect of her son regressing into madness just as her own happiness appeared to be within reach. This scenario could create significant tension, with Taylor caught between her loyalty to her son and her hidden desire to finally reclaim Ridge. Meanwhile, Brooke, sensing Thomas's downward spiral, might attempt to expose him, only for Ridge to accuse her of exaggeration, as she has in the past. This would create the ideal storm for Thomas to operate covertly while everyone questions Brooke's instincts. Such a gaslighting dynamic is precisely the type of situation that could provoke viewers to shout at their screens as the suspense escalates. What if Thomas orchestrates a complex scenario that lures Brooke into a perilous situation, perhaps even a staged accident during one of Forrester's lavish events, with champagne flowing, photographers capturing moments, and Ridge distracted? This would provide Thomas with the perfect chance to execute his plan, whether by cutting a safety line, tampering with a vehicle, or even drugging Brooke to ensure she makes a fatal error in front of everyone. However, having learned from previous exposures, Thomas might meticulously plan every detail to ensure that suspicion never falls on him, allowing him to stand beside Taylor as the grieving family consoles Ridge, whispering in his ear that Brooke's turmoil has finally come to an end, and that perhaps now Ridge can rely on Taylor to heal him. Imagine the horror if Ridge were to actually begin softening toward Taylor again following Brooke's downfall, suggesting that Thomas's twisted reasoning may have succeeded. Yet, soaps are known for their long narratives, so it is possible that Brooke survives the attempt. Perhaps she uncovers the scheme just in time, leaving her conflicted between maintaining the secret to protect Ridge's relationship with his son or revealing Thomas's actions and incurring Ridge's anger. This moral quandary alone could ignite months of intense drama, particularly if Thomas attempts to manipulate Brooke into questioning her own sanity, similar to how he previously gaslight Hope with a mannequin, revisiting his past tactics in a new guise. Throughout this turmoil, Taylor may start to sense the truth, leading to poignant moments where she confronts her son about whether he genuinely attempted to harm Brooke. Thomas would assert that his actions were solely for her benefit, claiming he only wished for her happiness, placing Taylor in the untenable position of either safeguarding her son or defending Brooke. Given the long-standing rivalry between Brooke and Taylor, the tension would be excruciating, as a part of Taylor might not wish to rescue Brooke at all, even if she had the opportunity. Nevertheless, her conscience as a physician, a mother, and a principled woman would prevent her from remaining passive while her son perpetrated such a crime. This struggle between love, ethics, revenge, and obsession could generate the kind of compelling television that The Bold and the Beautiful excels at. As Thomas makes his significant return this fall, the environment is ideally prepared for him to once again indulge in his most malevolent tendencies, and the pressing question will be whether anyone can intervene before Brooke Logan becomes his ultimate target.